I want to take you back to circa 2015, maybe 16. I was living here at this lovely house behind me in this beautiful valley here in Hawaii. And as a car guy, I wanted a project. I had my, I think 2011 Mini at the time, and mods for that were, quite expensive. So I was doing some Craigslisting, and I found a Honda Rebel 250 motorcycle and said free. And of course, naturally, I love sketchy deals, so I went and got it. The only thing was, it was in pieces. So long story short with that, I picked it up, and at this house over here, I built it and made it into a cool little bobber. Drove it around the island a little bit. Naturally, I always wanted a classic Mini, but it wasn't always in the cards for me. One day, I was sitting here, and an ad popped up on Craigslist. It was a classic Mini. No pictures, again, sketchy ad, not a lot of detail. And I think it was listed maybe for $3,000. And I decided, hey, let me email this guy, go check it out. So shot him an email, asked if he was interested in trades, thinking I can trade him the motorcycle on a long shot. Surprisingly, he said, yeah, I'm interested in that. Come check it out. So I rode my bike over there, and I get there and I see it. It's just under this cover, and I know that's it. And I give the guy a call. He comes out, and he's had it for a little while, and he claims as if he was going to do like a all-wheel drive swap on it or something like that. I don't know, Honda all-wheel drive swap, which was like a pipe dream for the guy. And it's just been sitting there, and I think it hadn't been on the road for, this could be wrong, but it was something like 10 years. It hadn't been on the road for a while. And it had just been sitting there, albeit under a cover, but in the very moist, humid, salty air of Hawaii. It just was kind of deteriorating. Most of the body was pretty solid. Obviously, there's rust on most Minis, and the biggest point on this car was the rear. The rear subframe was already out, so it kind of saved it a little bit, but the battery box area was completely rusted out. So it was just like on furniture dollies sitting there. So the front wheels were on, the back was just completely stripped. There was nothing back there. And I was just so excited that I didn't really care. Looking back on it, I probably maybe would have passed. I don't know. Probably not. Let's be real. I wouldn't pass because I like Minis. And the guy was going to trade me for a motorcycle that I had just gotten roughly a year prior, for free on Craigslist. And maybe spent a couple $100 on it. So I'm getting this Mini for roughly free. So I couldn't complain. I'd do that again, let's be real. I think a lot of you would too. So yeah, I mean, I basically, he walked me around, he talked, he had another like R53 that had like speakers to the gills. It was like the full back, like boot area, the boot lid and everything was all speakers and subs and everything. It was pretty cool. I think it was like, I don't know, JBL or whatever it is. It was like in one of those kind of 2000s magazines, which was kind of funny. So he talked to me about that for a while, and I was just sitting there waiting, itching to ask, so do you want to trade? And so I finally asked, I go, so, are you interested in trading? You want to come look at the bike? It's right, parked down the street. And he was like, yeah, I like those bikes. Cool, let's do it. And I was like, all right, well, let's go look at it, and trying to hold my excitement back. And he came and looked at it. I said, okay, well, let me have a day and get trailer. I don't have a trailer, so I gotta call friends, just put out the APB of who has a trailer and a truck that's willing to help me. And sure enough, a good friend of mine had one or borrowed one. I don't even know what happened, but it was like a giant trailer for like big cars. So the next day, a day or two, I don't remember the exact timeline, we went out there. I brought the bike, truck and trailer, and we dug this car out. And so basically, like, brakes weren't really working because everything was disconnected because of the rear, so there was a major leak in there. So it was on like a slight incline, like in a driveway, so it wasn't terrible, but we had to try to maneuver this without a rear subframe and wheels, furniture dollies that kind of help, and no brakes. So I got in the car, I was working the clutch, kind of on and off switch here, steering. My buddies were kind of like wheelbarrowing this car, this Mini, up onto this trailer, and finally we kind of got it on there. It was a little bit of a faff, but we did it. Signed over the title to the car, swapped him keys with the bike, and now we were heading back home to deal with how are we going to get this Mini down this 90-degree driveway. But we were just gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. Problem. Maybe our first problem. This driveway. Now, I don't know how steep that looks on camera, but damn near 90-degree grade. It is very, very steep. And this Mini does not have all four wheels on. The rear subframe's out. So probably on the screen right now is pictures of us trying to break it down, maybe some video if I have it. But we Jimmy rigged this, we backed it down, wheelbarreled it back into place, and it sat there for a couple of years as I built it, as I learned how to weld, as I learned how to do everything really on it. I just, got the Haynes manual, as I preach on the podcast. Get the Haynes manual. It walks you through so many things on there. And at the time, Classic Mini DIY was getting bigger, Steveston Motor Co was getting bigger, so there was a lot of resources kind of popping up at that time, 2016. So it was super helpful. And the next problem was getting it back up that grade. And when I finally got this car running, after a couple years of tinkering with it, I'm not going to go into everything I did with the car and what I did, carb conversion, all that kind of jazz, but officially when I got it going, I tried to get it up this driveway, and this driveway is so steep, and I thought it was just the car not being able to get up. We up, roll it back down. I would get so much momentum, as much as I could, roll it back down. I just couldn't get over it. And eventually, being the noob I was with carbs and stuff like that, I realized the timing was off. So I rented a timing gun, timed it up, and flew up this hill. So, moral of the story is check your timing. But I got it running and driving just in time. We were back to Southern California, so I was able to drive it on the boat, ship it over to Southern California, continue working on it. But it's the story of how I found my Mini. I thought it'd be fun to share that with you guys, show you where I got it, the road I took to get it, the drive I took to get it, and the driveway I had to get it down and up. So stay tuned. I'll be back in California for the next video, and sooner or later Sean's going to be there with me, and we're going to be faffing about all over the United States. So subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.